invite Maharana Vishvaraj Singh Mewar, 77th Maharana of Mewar, as he is a politician and a member of Assembly, Rajasthan Assembly from Nathdwara constituency, and also the former Speaker of Rajasthan Vidhan Sabha. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. And now we would like to hear from you, sir.
Honorable Minister Kirtivardhan Singh Ji, distinguished guests, Usanas Foundation, and distinguished invitees. I first of all thank the Usanas Foundation for inviting me here again and giving me an opportunity, pleasure and honor to interact with all of you. Some of you I have met with earlier, but for those whom I'm meeting for the first time, I give you a small introduction. My ancestor, Bapa Raul, first established himself in Mewar in 734 AD. Maharana Pratap was the 54th descendant from Bapa Raul, and I am the 77th head of the family. The brochure and my introduction did speak of my being a politician, and I thank the Usanas Foundation for adding to my credentials. But there is a small correction that I'm not the former Speaker of the Assembly. The former Speaker was my opponent during the last elections. But that is all irrelevant for this program. I'd rather just stick with my family name. In all humility, I also add that there have been many of my ancestors who have established standards of very high standards, be it Bapa Raul himself, whose defensive outpost saved India from invaders for 400 to 500 years, be it Maharana Sangha, who faced Babur, be it Maharana Kumbha, who never knew defeat and whose knowledge of art and architecture is very well known, be it Maharana Pratap, be it Maharana Raj Singh Ji. They all established very high standards that were maintained and even sometimes surpassed by their descendants. During the previous occasions, I tried to bring out a few instances from Maharana Pratap's life that could be related to today's times and from which we could take a lesson. One of the things Maharana Pratap has been associated with is social unity, of taking the entire society with him in challenging times. And in the world today, we see social unrest pretty much everywhere. Social unity is either marked by its absence or then there is actual violence. An important difference between then and now is then social unity was a contributor to power, and today social unrest is the roadmap to power. In the Indian context, the government has made statements that they would correct the recording of history and present the facts as they were. That is a laudable intention, and it should have been done much earlier, because as a student I remember I read barely a line on Maharana Pratap, and we were taught that Udaipur lapsed under the doctrine of lapse when this was really not so. But when it comes to correcting history, there is also a need for balance, because we don't want to swing the pendulum all the way to the other direction. And a sense of balance would be a balance in words as well as in actions. There is a lot of derision heaped upon Akbar, more so on Aurangzeb, and with the intention of having a balanced viewpoint, and since all our guests here, the senior members of the government, ambassadors, senior government officials, I thought it would be of interest to read a few extracts of a letter written by Maharana Raj Singh Ji to Aurangzeb, on Aurangzeb levying jizya on the Brahmins in India. And this letter has been translated by Colonel James Todd in his well-known treatise, Annals and Antiquities of Rajasthan. And these are the extracts. All due praise be rendered to the glory of the Almighty and the munificence of your Majesty, which is conspicuous as the sun and the moon. I have been informed that enormous sums have been dissipated in prosecution of the designs formed against me, your well-wisher, and that you have ordered a tribute to be levied to satisfy the exigencies of your exhausted treasury. May it please your Majesty, your royal ancestor Muhammad Jalaluddin Akbar, whose throne is now in heaven, conducted the affairs of the empire in equity and firm security for the space of 52 years, preserving every tribe of men in ease and happiness. His Majesty Muhammad Nur-ul-Din Jahangir, likewise, whose dwelling is now in paradise, extended for a period of 22 years the shadow of his protection over the heads of his people. No less did the illustrious Shah Jahan, by a propitious reign of 32 years, acquire to himself immortal reputation. Such were the benevolent inclinations of your ancestors, whilst they pursued those great and generous principles. Wheresoever they directed their steps, conquest and prosperity went before them. How can the dignity of the sovereign be preserved who employs his power in extracting heavy tributes from a people thus miserably reduced? It is told from east to west that the Emperor of Hindustan, jealous of the poor Hindu devotee, will exact a tribute from Brahmins. If your Majesty places any faith in those books by distinction called divine, you will there be instructed that God is the God of all mankind. To vilify the religion or customs of other men is to set at naught the pleasure of Almighty. In fine, the tribute to demand from the Hindus is repugnant to justice. It is equally foreign from good policy, as it must impoverish the country. It is wonderful that the ministers of your government should have neglected to instruct your Majesty in the rules of rectitude and honor. Lest these words seem too mild as compared to today's abrasiveness, I do inform you that it was during the reign of Maharana Raj Singh Ji that the idol of Srinath Ji was brought to Nathdwara, because nobody else could guarantee the safety of the idol from the soldiers of Aurangzeb. And it was Maharana Raj Singh who decisively defeated Aurangzeb in battle. These are the words of the person who was there, who was actually facing Aurangzeb, whose immediate predecessors faced the onslaught of the Mughals. He did not have the safety cushion of centuries behind him, nor did he have at his disposal the genius of hindsight. AI is also the topic for today, and I thought it would be interesting what AI had to say about these extracts. And this is what I got. Overall, it serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of fairness, justice, and inclusivity in governance, reflecting the values that should guide rulers for the welfare of their subjects. Well, whatever may be the comments of AI and the sane advice of AI, and we know AI has its uses when it comes to, especially when it comes to areas of specialized knowledge, we also have our apprehensions that AI will be used to make ease and the complexity of crime easier, would make it more hard to detect, would make apprehension more difficult. We also feel that the small group of people using AI will take control over society. As we know, AI today, the output depends on the input, so that is a point of control. And there are also those who feel that AI will on its own take control of mankind. That leads to a further discussion of whether AI has a sense of self, that it is going to take over somebody, or it is just a logical progression of a being that is far more intelligent, seamlessly taking over another. And if there is so much intelligence, is intelligence necessary evil? Can't greater good be done by greater intelligence? These are all factors which are in the unknown. But I think we do need to take a cue from its predecessor, the mobile phone. The way it has inveigled itself into our lives, all for ease, convenience, comfort, a false sense of security, and in return we have given up our privacy, allowed it to play with our interpersonal relations, family dynamics, society, and if we read what is reported, even elections. Everything that made and has made the mobile phone so addictive is going to become all the more attractive with the advent of AI. We have pretty much let it loose without knowing how to rein it in. Convenience is known to dull thought, and in the words of Marcus Aurelius, comfort is the worst addiction. And for this comfort and for this convenience, we have or are in the process of giving up at least independence of thought. Well, the times are challenging. Some would say they are full of opportunities, some would say there's unrest. In either way, if we go back to history, history teaches us that whenever there is needed, there is an inspired leader who comes up in front. So in this case, whether the inspired leader is natural or artificial, only time will tell. I thank you very much for inviting me. I wish you all the very best for the success of this function. Thank you very much.